I got an idea. We might clip it and ship it. We might get rid of it, but we're recording.
We're gonna clip it and ship it? We're gonna get something out?
We might not. But I'm saying maybe we will.
We could also stream it and beam it.
That is an eventual thing to do. Stream and beam. That would be a fun thing to call, like, VODs after streaming. A good title for them, stream and beam. Take your pick. What sounds fun?
Not that one.
Teenage?
I could do that. Sounds good.
I guess you get a chance to see it on this screen.
Kind of seems like we can only go backwards after seeing it on the ERD.
In a way. It's not 100%, but yeah. The color...
Was this the epilepsy one? Yep.
Yeah. That was exactly it.
Are the actually like this guy. What are the names? Do you know that?
They say them up top, so you're Michelangelo.
Oh yeah.
I have never been able to remember these though. Leo.
Is there one that is a suspected like better character?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good
Because
question.
you were kind of kicking butt the other day with the purple one.
Well,
Donatello?
when I played this last before we played together, I really felt like it was just kind of like window dressing which one you were playing with. I'm sure it's not 100%, but I felt for the most part like there's not a huge substantial difference between them.
I thought when I was playing with Michelangelo, it felt better than with Leo.
You want to try Don? I'll try Michelangelo. Or you already selected?
Yeah.
Well, you can change when you die too.
That's true.
Something I'm going to do a little bit that I think we do have to do, but I'm uncomfortable with, is saying, like, who we are, what we're doing, what we got planned, what we got going on. But there's a little bit of, like, an imposter syndrome getting started.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, it's too awkward. But I was thinking.
We don't even have a name yet.
Yeah, right.
I feel
We
like
might
I'm
have
gonna
some
be,
dry
I
runs.
feel like I'm gonna be better this time. Like I'm feeling ready for this.
Yeah. We're probably gonna beat it. Maybe not. Feels doable.
Like these levels feel exceptionally easy now.
Yeah. This game looks nice on a LCD.
Yeah, I still don't think the greens are as green though.
Yeah,
That could just be the monitor.
well, yeah, there's all that sort of display stuff as well. But,
That's you.
just the overall art seems to hold up pretty well. I'm not left wanting for scan lines. Not left wanting for scan line. Enunciation is another thing. Try not to mumble.
For these games, when they were doing the soundtrack, do you know if it was more like, do they bring an artist in or like bring in you know, like an orchestra or something to do? Oh, come on. Or is it more DJ style?
So, I think it's a different case for different games, but there are dedicated professionals who are video game composers, like, or composers who do video game music, and maybe sometimes they're musicians in their own right and they come into video game, or video game music is their primary thing, and they'll occasionally do like a that's you on the pizza. But it's a role, and it's something that people do from a musical background, and maybe somewhat like a programming technical background. Who knows if some of them got started from programming and got interested in music, and like, because it seems like it requires some dual skill sets for some people, at least in these earlier times, where you have to kind of know how to play around with the hardware to get good music out of it. Because the Super Nintendo has these 7 or 8 channels that it works from, and they're sample based, and something like the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack is famous on the Super Nintendo as one of the most legendary ones, and it has, in the lore, there's definitely a little bit of like, it worked really well with the chip system and the sample system, and I'm getting vague with it now, but trying to beat this boss. Oh yeah. So no death that time on the first level. I don't know if we died at all on the first one. We didn't get a game over.
We did.
I feel like we might have got death, but not a game over. But I don't know.
I appreciate that they filled our life meters back up.
Yeah, I was wondering that after playing the other game. I couldn't remember whether or not this was like that NES Ninja game we were playing. Shadow Ninja.
Oh. They can get you in a full Nelson?
Oh, was that the first time you got held?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to get close to them. I was getting a little greedy on how close I could get to them.
Yeah, I was getting greedy yesterday and having that happen a handful of times. Yeah, I think maybe you want to hit and then grab is part of it.
Oh no.
Is it time?
Oh. Bye-bye.
Yeah, maybe some characters have like more reach but slower hit speed. I feel like my hit speed might be a little bit faster. Could be my imagination. Raphael. I'm gonna try to actually remember their names.
Alright, so I'm Michelangelo. You're Raphael.
Yeah.
Donatello is purple. And Leo.
Leonardo is blue. We could have those backwards.
Very much. Also, is it Donatello? Forgot for a second what that one was.
Oh, he got me. There's also the whole thing. I don't know.
For the...
Oh, that's you.
I wonder what the backstory is and why the creator of the Ninja Turtles named them after the artist.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. That's a live stream thing. If you're live streaming, you're like, somebody in chat's gonna look that up and bring up an answer.
Hey chat.
Not even asking, yeah, that would be answered. Somebody would have the answer, or they would look it up and say it, which is kind of a nice thing. That is fun. The other thing about live stuff is the audience kind of provides some of the social interaction and some of the conversation. They move it forward, and they're a participant. But it's also feel like it's a little bit of a thing to just jump into live streaming, because there's like a whole lot of other layers of stuff. Like everybody who I see is usually up to a certain level, unless I like find some really obscure streamer. But once you get past a couple people at a time, and you might just blow up randomly or whatever, you need a moderator, which is a job. You need like an employee to moderate the chat.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I was telling Abby about this the other day. She's like, wait, someone moderate? Yeah. You get moderators and developers.
This seems...
Who make Abby moderate?
Oh, I don't know about that, dude. No. That's a big no-no. But I see people self-moderating when it's not too busy.
Well,
but we'll be playing games. If we're doing like co-op stuff, that's gonna be rough.
But do you think all big streams do that?
Oh, 110% yes.
Because some of them make it really obvious, right? Where I've watched them where they like call it out, like, mods, can you take care of that? But like,
they all got them, dude. 110%. And they all need them.
So is like Sasha Grey using them though?
Oh, she's got mods. Okay. She's got mods up the wazoo.
The mod doesn't necessarily have to be there. The mod's just doing that part.
Yeah, it's usually, for some of them, I don't know, it's a little bit of an issue with streaming, because I think once you get to a certain point, it becomes a question of it becomes a question of responsibility with modding, and like, you should be paying these people because you're making a lot of money and they're doing an essential piece of your business.
For sure.
And mods usually start out of like obsessive fans who do it for free.
So they get taken advantage of.
It's exploitative.
For sure.
I totally see it. So I think people who are kind of conscious will pay their mods, and there's a gray area as to where and when you should be doing that. At what point does it become, or even like, do you do like a fucking certain amount of like revenue share from a stream of somebody?
Yeah.
All those sorts of things. But yeah.
Running a business.
I don't think that it's a huge thing when you're small, but you want to have some game plan, maybe even if you're just starting out, because who knows when you're gonna have an audience. All right, don't touch anything.
Good call.
It's probably not a big cutscene. Yeah, you're just jumping into the Terradrome, whatever this is. Technodrome.
We didn't miss almost anything.
No. Moon pie.
To the point that you almost wonder why the developers included that.
That's cool. I'm wondering why there's a footprint on the wall. I'll say that. I think it's hard not to sound like snobby or like a know-it-all. Like, you might be saying something that there's an ambiguity to how you talk, and you're viewed online sometimes, like, where you can probably come across unintentionally like one way or another, and you don't mean to. And
I know what you mean.
I sometimes
do you ever think about this same thing? If this is what you're talking about, do you ever catch yourself doing this like in a restaurant? Like you're explaining something to someone else? Because sometimes I hear other people talking in a restaurant and I'm like,
Yeah.
The
Oh
person
yeah, when you
sounds like
hear a
such
stranger.
know-it-all. But then sometimes I think I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And then this sort of environment sort of naturally.
Oh, that's me. You're outdoing me in terms of health management.
Also doing a little worth it. Tag.
So remember, since you have good health now too. Oh, let's. Fuck it.
Yeah. Right.
I was gonna say, remember you have your special. I just used it because I'm.
Oh
still,
yeah, to get through those blocks.
They're different for everybody. Oh, that's a good call. I haven't thought about it that way.
That was the only way I could figure out how to get through those things.
If you hit them enough times, they eventually drop their guard.
Yeah, I forget that too.
But yeah, I didn't think about doing it that way.
Alright, we're not gonna touch that wall either.
Right.
The footprint is funny.
Maybe
Does that
it
imply that
relates
someone
to these
kicked it,
guys?
or that someone made these guys in those vats? Like that's sort of my thing. Like, is it a
Oh.
label or is it?
It's like a cabin or something for
Yeah.
mutants.
Yeah,
Okay. I literally.
but still, like, why a foot?
Yeah.
Like, why not a paw?
I don't know, because they're beasts with big, gnarly.
Because it's got
Big
a light in it. Like, it almost seems like it was engineered.
Okay.
Oh,
Shit. Okay, we're good. We're good. All right, get out of the way. That's all right.
You don't get hurt when you freeze, do you? You just freeze.
No, you're just vulnerable, or maybe you do with him. Yeah, if you kill the fire guy first, that would make sense then. If freezing doesn't hurt you, it just renders you vulnerable. Then if you get rid of the fire guy, all right, I'll let you get that. You're needing it by a hair. We still haven't lost any lives. I have, unless you did.
No.
So I think you get extra lives based on how many points you have.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you just got one, 200.
Okay. Good to know.
We're learning the old school way.
Was there a period in time for you? There was for me before I kind of understood computing at all that I do now, but like I was always a little bit confused why my PlayStation 1 or my Nintendo never looked as good as like being at Chuck E. Cheese.
I didn't ever think about that when I was a kid, but I get what you're saying. I didn't know until I was an adult that there was this whole gap between arcade power and home console power.
Yeah, I did exactly.
I don't think I had much exposure to arcades as a kid. Was part of it. But I've been to Chuck E. Cheese, literally maybe once or twice.
Yeah, it wasn't very frequent, but it's like whenever I went to one, I was like, this game is really sweet.
Yeah.
Or like even what's kind of funny is like light guns and things like the shooters at arcade.
Yeah.
I was always like,
I thought
there
those
more
were
of
cool
these.
too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot we're trying to throw these guys.
Yeah. Oh, I am one hit away. I think I might just try to do keep away and see if you can win the game, because I'm gonna die. Oh shit, I thought that would have been the last one. Yes!
Nice.
Right. Alright, this feels good. This is going alright.
Yeah.
I feel like half of this is worthy of keeping on some level. I like the idea of just blowing them out, like not clipping them. Well, you could do this in parts, but rather than doing like highlights and that sort of thing, I like the idea of just showing the
Yeah, for sure.
whatever. But there's also some cringy shit in here that I don't know if we I would put up.
Like,
I don't know. Maybe we'd have to play it back to find out.
yeah.
Maybe not. The thing I was gonna say too.
Oh, I think to your last point, that highlight stuff. People probably definitely create things knowing they're gonna create a highlight thing, but like highlight stuff also comes out of just like, here's another thing that I made from all the thing I had. Right? Like you've got your massive thing where it's like, watch us play and beat this whole thing.
Oh. Did I not get my health back? I definitely did because I had more health, but I'm in fucking shape right now. Ooh, the RAM.
Yeah, the ram's good.
What I was gonna say is, we maybe high on the list of research is how YouTube policies, and maybe this, I don't know if this worked against me or what. Oh shoot, I died. It's okay. Or what exactly, but I didn't, when I would do my videos, I would mark them like not as intended for children.
Oh yeah, that's totally
And I know there's this,
can like
yeah,
it factors in for sure.
part of me wants to see if, especially maybe when we're doing stuff that's low stakes to start, if like it's possible to not worry about that and maybe it'll be okay. But it could be this thing where we have to not swear, which is gonna make it kind of a hard thing. But
For sure.
maybe we can pull that off. But that's what I was just thinking of, because YouTube is really whatever at this point.
Yeah, we should just dig into it. But it's probably not.
Yeah. Well, once they change that, literally anyone and everyone that I watch stop swearing. I don't watch there's not a single channel on YouTube. All of them stop swearing. And I don't even know, like, except for H3 Productions and their live thing. Maybe that. But that's the thing, like, some of them just avoid certain terms, like, if you talk about, they'll say, like, SA or R for things, but they swear, and they maybe, like, have a quota of swearing or something like that. There might be...
Twitch has, like, a thing for certain words, I know.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe we have to learn a little bit about that. I would be happy with, like, don't swear a ton and you will be okay. I've also seen things where it's like,
Well,
if you're...
It's kind of hard.
If you're, like, so deep into... Oh, I wonder if I can... Oops. So, yeah, it's just getting him in the air. I was gonna say, I wonder if I can, ram into him.
I think it was also getting on either side of him.
Getting him right after he lands was kind of working, too.
Yeah. Yeah, we had him in a good, like, flow.
Yeah, I'm just kind of staying away from him until he jumps, and then when he lands, going after him. Oh god, I went after him for some reason there.
He's effective because he blocks, and then his strike is pretty... got a good length on his strike.
Yeah, he has like a little bit of a dash into it that he does. Fuck.
That, and he can strike multiple times.
Doesn't seem to work.
Wow. He's just chasing me down, dabbing me.
Yeah, I'm staying as... I was gonna say I'm staying as far as away.
I think I'm playing too defensive. I think it's gotta be It's not even blinking. Yeah, there he goes.
He's very close. Stay away from him. The thing is staying away from the level that he's at.
Yeah. Jump.
Got him. Well, you didn't lose a continue. I lost one. So yeah, that's how. I don't know how it works.
But I wonder if you get to 200 again, you can do another up. Because the 1 UP and the 2 UP seem like there are lives.
Yeah, there's a lives, and I don't see anything. I don't see.
Or not our lives. There are like our player, like first player, second player.
Okay, yeah. First player, second player, lives, score, but mine reset after my continue.
Is it? What do you think UP stands for?
Are they
that's
just
what's
fucking it up?
confusing me. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's like an error. I was gonna say a glitch. It's not a glitch, but I think that's just an error. They put up, but it's the player.
Unless it's like UP, like people who post in Discords or Reddit, and it's like OP, original poster, universal player. Just remember that.
Yeah, that's a funny.
Addy should be fun. Or landing soon.
Yeah, we can stop this.
Heck no.
It would be fun to see if we can beat it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a good game.
This is a great game.
Says of a game that's supposed to be like the most legendary. But I like feeling it for myself or whatever, you know? It's like...
Yeah. So, what's funny about some of these games is I can see myself playing them as a little kid because the games are just fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I could also see my like teenage self just not thinking these games were good, like having a fit and being like, I don't know if they're entertaining, and then have sort of come right back around to.
I don't think we can pause, unfortunately.
Really?
Oh, I
want to
pressed
just.
select. I got it. It was select, not start, which is a weird quirk of the game.
All right, I think. Ubering ? She said she'd be home before 10.
Yeah, that sounds like. Can go. Alright. Away we go.
Yep.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Oh.
Beta man. Come on.
These guys are okay.
Wow.
Yeah, they're a tough one because it's like you want to wait for people to fill the screen, but you want to get them fast because they fill it with projectiles. So okay, lesson learned there.
There aren't too many. Oh, I say that now, and I'm just like, I was gonna say there's not too many projectile opponents, and then
Yeah, there
actually
aren't.
there. I mean the yellows. We don't see the green ones. I feel like very much, but the bombs do become fairly regular.
Okay, you get that pizza right now, young man. This projectile was fucky from those guys. Oh, dude, oh no. I thought I was you there. Okay.
The guys with the guns. Oh, I did the same thing. I thought I was you.
It's a little bit hard with red and yellow or orange. Oh, these guys were a little bit. New.
down. We'll see her soon.
I think part of what's enjoyable about these videos is ultimately, like, for me, it's the sensation of the company and relaxing with them. And if someone's relaxed about themselves and about whatever's happening while they're going, that creates that
For sure.
mood and environment.
I agree. I also have just noticed, I think we might have talked about this before, but how few people just game in a lot of ways. Like, I know I can watch and stream people on like a Twitch, and there's kind of a game happening, but just like calmly gaming, hanging out. Because those are some of my favorite morning and bed things to like watch. It's just someone gaming. This pig is very funny. Look at this.
In a way, there's a lot of it, but I think for different age groups and audiences and like cultural moods or whatever, there's not necessarily a lot. In yours, you know, or our, I think probably similar cross section. Especially like a duo thing is less common.
Mm-hmm. I just get on, and it feels like a lot of times I'm sitting on one that there's like a lot of loading content happening, or like the person's not actually playing. I can spend like an hour in these things that are their warm-up screens or another thing.
Yeah, I know.
I just want to watch someone play so I can chill out with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part of it is people who just have way too much energy for me, and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A little bit of it could be to the time that you're there. I think some more of what you're talking about really builds up in the evening. Like right now is the beginning of prime time Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
And even later into the night to some extent.
Twitch is interesting though, because I've also noticed a little bit of video games being such a global thing that like sometimes I'm just hitting other countries' prime time. Like I'll notice like, oh, the top streamers right now are all from Eastern Asia or China.
Mm-hmm. That is true. Well, I think I maybe mentioned this to you a little bit, and it took me a minute to just, at some point I just asked, which he probably gets this question from various people who haven't been around, but there was a stream that I would watch, and it was a late night one. That's you. And I would have to stop at a certain point because it was just going through the night. And sometimes if I had a weird thing where I had to get up early, or I woke up because I wasn't sleeping all the way through, if I was up at like 2 a.m. and then got back up at 7 or whatever, the stream would still be going. And this guy would stream from roughly midnight to 8 a.m.
That's crazy.
And I just really thought that he was English, like he was in England or something.
Oh, like in the UK?
And I could tell he wasn't from there originally, but I just thought he had moved somewhere else. But no, he's just a guy who was living in the United States. And he just...
That can't be good for you. It just...
no.
Can't.
Yeah, that was pretty wild stuff. I think he's since moved his schedule forward a tad, but it's still nocturnal. Like,
I mean, unless they used to work at like third shift or something, which still is not good for you.
You
But
can
it really
have that.
just feels like it's like if I think about who's watching that.
Yeah, the whole thing. It's some of it is people from elsewhere,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's also night owls. It's kind of a very much a, which it's
It kind of
that's
feels
the
like
value of
it
it. It
kind of
kind of
feels like
provides a thing for those people.
teens though too, right? Like
No, yeah, but that's an older audience.
oh,
He's in
that's
his
interesting.
40s. He might be.
He's just doing it. That's what he likes.
Yeah, it's man versus game is the show. He was one of the. He has a huge audience too when he's doing it. He's got routinely. I don't know. I think he sits well into the thousands.
I feel like I've really taken my eye off the ball in the last couple of them.
Yeah. Dude. It's also just getting harder at the same time. But if we don't beat it this time, it's fine. I feel like we got some lessons learned still. Got a little bit better.
Yeah, but this feels. It still feels like we're on pace to get to the last level. And ultimately, it could be the same as the Mario run last night.
Yeah, man. Talk about feeling like I hate myself at the end of the night. Shit. That little tail swipe gets me. See, I'm at a point where. Okay, you get points for your. Oh. I was at a point where I think if I died, I would have been getting a game over. If I got down to 0. I need to just have a water nearby when we're doing this. You might want to test if you can pause with select.
I don't think I can.
Okay,
Oh.
you can.
Yep.
Refill this water.
All right. There's gonna be a moment where Addie gets back and Moonpie is gonna go nuts.
Are you ready to go absolutely bonkers, Moon Pie? You don't even know what's coming. You're gonna. Should we make sure that we didn't leave any weird mess?
Yeah, I think we took care of our business.
This game is a pretty low-key length, too. I do like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember exactly how far we are from the end at this point, but that's partly probably
There
its
aren't too many
arcade roots, too. It's designed to be...
like doable.
And it's in a short period of time.
Yeah.
It's probably harder in the arcade, but yeah, it's just like not something you're designed to sit all day at.
Did you ever watch that? This is really satisfying. There's like a video game documentary about beating some game.
I miss my guy.
I don't think it was Snake. But it's like these people that would play this game for the world record.
Ugh. Can you even kill those things? Or do you just avoid them?
You might. Yeah, I think I remember this last time. It's a little bit of a ski and dance around.
Oh man, some of those question marks are mode 7. I think. Yeah, pretty sure it's mode 7. Oh, you gotta be at the
It's
right
gotta be
depth.
mode 7.
Oh my god, I am just... We didn't get a single one of those guys.
They got me.
Can you get them? I think you can. Wow. Awful display. Maybe you can't.
Do you know what documentary I'm talking about? I feel like it's called Beating and then Title of Game.
I'm trying.
But it's definitely an arcade classic, and there's like some dude who is really good at the game and holds the title, and it takes like hours and hours, maybe a full day to beat the record. And then I just remember there's like some major controversy in the game where it's like unclear if a recording of breaking the record that was submitted contained like
Cheating or something?
Yeah, like
Is it Donkey Kong?
it could have been Donkey Kong.
There's a controversy thing with Donkey Kong, and I haven't really followed it in detail, but I know like a long-held champion of Donkey Kong had controversy surrounding him.
The documentary is good, and like in a certain way, almost that it's really funny. The main guy who may have the record and who also may have cheated is such a character. Like it almost feels made up. And he's very cocky and like maybe like threatening the other guy. And then the other guy, it just seems like this like wholesome man who's married and his wife's kind of cheering him on, and like he just works really hard at like beating this record and getting it right and getting an arcade in his garage. And the other guy's just super cocky, and he's also playing defense. Like he's the guy who holds the record, and it seems like he's doing a bunch of shady stuff to like make sure it doesn't ever get beaten.
We'll have to find it. Look it up. This is another thing where I would say appropriate sometimes to whip out the cell phone while you're doing a show or whatever. And
Just leaving the audience hanging.
yeah, rather than leaving them hanging and being like, okay, it's blah blah blah. I'm having an interesting. This is the controller that you were using last night. I can tell it's different than the one that I was.
Yeah, I like this controller. Honestly.
Yeah, this one is the one that I replaced the membrane on, and it still feels like it's a little bit like the aftermarket one. I'm like, did I put... Because I had two aftermarket ones. I'm a little bit wondering, did I exchange one aftermarket membrane for another? If that makes sense. It feels okay, but it's a little bit... Yeah, I'm gonna end up getting like a FOMO thing where I collect a bunch of Super Nintendo controllers because I'm like, as soon as one of them goes out, it's gonna be a huge hit for my experience. Maybe this is, you know what's a good video? Sorry, just get this thought out real quick.
Yeah.
Like an entire video on replacement membranes for the Super Nintendo controller and whether any of them are an outright equivalent or worthwhile replacement, because it's all over the internet that people are just trying different ones out, and like sometimes you hear people say like, oh, they're good, but then there's more often than not people who are like, no, there are problems with this. And I got a set that seemed kind of recommended and then didn't work, and I found, okay, so yep, other people had the same problem that I had, and I'm like skeptical to even order others, but I'm wondering like, could this set be good? Could that set be good? And they're cheap. They're really cheap. They're like $2, but there's some shipping, so it might be. It's like going to be under $10 a set.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a big question, and it would be a good value thing to provide some good in-depth information and reasoning as to why you are behind or not. a specific one.
Are you beating somebody?
Look at that thing. Oh, maybe that's just my. It was my animation that was coming back to me that made me think that. Oh shit,
wow.
dude.
Wow.
Oh my
It
god.
almost hit. It hit me 3 times.
It did, yeah.
That's pointing that there's a lot of death going on here.
Okay. Well. Those are the fire guns. Shit. Sometimes it's hard to tell that they're, oh, it's an electric gun. Hard to tell that they're going to be able to get you when they're doing their...
Yeah.
I need to try to not die for a little while here. They don't know what the score... I'm pretty sure it's score-based. Whether or not... Got him with the ram, boy.
I don't think that's pixel perfect.
It might not be. Oh, I saw that coming and I was like, is it gonna get him or not? I had to get that because I'm fearing a game over here. Feel free to kind of lay back a little bit. Oh god. It's a sea of bombs.
Okay.
Okay, we successfully avoided that.
I need a beat.
I feel like I need to get to 100 before I can die. Which means I need to beat this boss, probably.
Boot this box.
Kind of obnoxious.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That really fucked me up. I might let you take a little bit of that. So it's the quick jump, or that, yeah, angle down towards them.
You want to mod at the right.
Ooh, fuck.
Oh.
Game over. It is. It's 100.
100 gets you a new life. This could be it for me too.
Yeah, I think maybe this is gonna be a good test if you don't survive. But it seems to be like continues are tied to how long
Yeah, you're
you
alive.
had your last one, and or the points that you get. It's not just pure time, but it's how many enemies you've killed.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Again, a manual would solve this problem. Excuse me.
I think I still got a ways to go on this boss, and I'm
Yeah.
realizing that.
We in fact didn't get as far, but we kind of got a little bit in our heads with the conversation here and there. We didn't last time. Like we're trying to talk. Oh, but when this continue happens, only one person gets to continue. That's a weird thing to me.
Is it just the person who lived the longest?
Where no turtle has gone before.
Do I just have to beat that thing again by myself?
You start the level over, I think. Do we want to call it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like maybe we can find out some info on how continues and game overs work. But
This seems like it would be a great game for the 3DS.
oh yeah,
If it's not already on there.
no, dude, they just did not do enough making these into 3D. I wonder. Oh yeah, it would pop so hard. I
Oh, you
won-
got the like throw at the screen and everything?
So I should show you one of basically the most classic beat 'em up of all time. Streets of Rage 1 and 2 are both on there in 3D because Sega did more work doing that. And you can play like local. I think you can play local network multiplayer if you were able to find a 3DS at a low price or whatever. But it's probably more fun to just play on a full screen. But
Reminds me of Peter Griffin when he falls down on his face when he gets kicked from behind.
But Nintendo themselves didn't invest a lot in doing retro 3D stuff on that, which is a bummer. Sega did a lot.
Is part of the whole thing behind Sega and like, because there was like the NES and which Sega?
There was a Master System and NES were kind of contemporaries, and then Genesis and Super Nintendo.
Yeah, but there was like the debate and like fans of either type thing. It's like part of it, just the fact that like, well, Sega does do some things really great, and those fans just die hard.
Yeah, for whatever reason, people get fanboy about companies, and it's really strange and alien to me. But I mean, it's kind of childish on some level. Is the simplest way to think about it, but I don't know why people do it when they're adults.
That was awesome. That was really good.
And I say that because, like, you know, you're just narrow-minded, and like you might tie your own sense of security to something like the console that you own. You might feel threatened if somebody's like criticizing it or whatever. And you might be jealous that you don't have that other one. That was a big thing for kids. Like, kids could only get one.
Yeah.
And
there
so
was
they're going to
no
shit on
way.
the one that they don't have.
It's weird being an adult gamer, to be completely honest, because I don't like my parents were not adult gamers.
It's very much a new generation thing, too. Something I've heard, and it's an anecdote from history that I don't have as much familiarity with, of course, because I wasn't around, but when new mediums of entertainment were introduced successfully or successively, like very different ones from what had been before, there was a lot of, apparently there was like reluctance to adopt, and sort of like a resistance to them as like inferior or whatever. So like there was resistance to radio and then television as compared to radio, etc. But I don't know if video games are an exact fit for that model of like evolution and like initial resistance. But without a doubt, more and more adults are playing games. I think that there's, and the other thing is, on some level, games are something people do at all ages. Like, people will play card games, they'll gamble in a game fashion, they'll do all sorts of like recreational play. So it's not different than what other adults are doing in some level. And I think another thing for me is I think it's a personality thing. There's a stigma, like a historical stigma that has it kind of relating to children or whatever. But in my mind, it's sort of like I do enjoy watching TV in some short bursts or whatever, and obviously like gaming's television is what I watch the most about watching television at this point. But I enjoy this form of entertainment more than that.
I agree.
So it's kind of like an interesting thing where it's weird, there's like this adult versus childhood thing, but at the same time it's like adults watching TV are like maybe less activated and doing something that doesn't really feel ultimately much more adult, especially if it's like trashy TV or whatever. But you know,
Yeah.
I really think that's a changing thing. Generationally, it's weird because there's fewer people from previous generations who game as adults, although there are some, like as you've maybe seen with some
For
older.
sure. They're kind of, well, there a lot of them are, I feel like pretty prominent in the community.
Especially retro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is awesome because I don't think I'd be half as into it. I would be into it, but I wouldn't be into like the culture of it if there weren't people who I identified with in terms of like maturity. There's a lot of them, and I like that.
But yeah, the other part I was kind of referring to that we were talking about, where you don't, when you were a kid, you had one, and whatever is as an adult and having a job. Part of me is just like, "Ah, we can like all of them." You know, like Christmas is when I want Christmas to be.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a thing for sure. People that have talked about it in that manner too. Like, especially because you don't have a lot of time. There's an element of, yeah, I gotta do something about this memory. It's a newer one, I'm positive. This is not the original one I had in here. I gotta find that. There's a guy who's maybe our age. I think he's right around our age. He has a channel that's a smaller one that's definitely high quality and probably gonna just grow over time, but it's Retro Bird or Retro Dodo. I can't remember which one. Those are both things on the internet, and I don't know which one he is. I get it mixed up, but he had a video where he was talking about that, and he was talking about time as an adult and playing video games, and how there's a paradox of time and access to just about everything. It's like the access to games and the ability to sort of like have your child's dream of games. Your childhood, I'm just gonna terrible as we're talking right now. But your sort of childhood reservoir, dream reservoir of game access with less time. But at the same time, I kind of think, are we really with less time? Depending on who you are, I guess, but as a kid, like, you also had a lot of stuff you were expected to be doing at a lot of times. It depends on the season. Like, summers, of course, were different as a kid, but you had school and homework. Where's your 9 to 5?
Mm-hmm.
And then you might have had chores, or you might have had extracurriculars, you might have had practice for the sport that you were doing, depending on your age, right, and what you did. You didn't necessarily have a ton of time for video games then either. It's kind of... It all
I think
depends
that's
a bit.
right. I mean, I think people spend
I'm
a
just getting
ton of
wrecked.
time just watching TV.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Yeah, that's a good point.
And some adults spend a ton of time playing games.
Yeah.
Nope. Let's call it there.
Alright.
Calling it. No big ending here. We're just calling it. It's done.